powers of observation and perception, can you tell me which of the outer orbs is closest to the center? And/or can you tell me which of the orbs or spheres are the greatest in dimension? Let us perceive. Is it optical illusion? Is it your perception or the angle of your view? Obviously, the blue orb is closest to the center, and if you look at the mass of the two orbs, the blue orb is the larger. This is the deception which is being played upon you today by the liberal and left-leaning media. I'd like to introduce myself. I am Geoffrey Byrd. I'm from the United Kingdom, and I hail from, well, quite a good family, but I am related to your main host, Godfrey Byrd, and we are second and third cousins down family lines. And I digress. My qualifications is I am a doctorate, and I do come from Smarty Pants University, and I do hold degrees in logic, and I do have a doctorate in thinkology. It is nice to be with you today while my cousin is ramping around the world on a world trekking holiday. He is on sabbatical with his adopted son, and they're getting in some geographical educational trips, and I do hope that all of you understand what a sabbatical is. It's basically a resting vacation. Now then, he had asked me to stop by and discuss the powers of reason and the psychoses of perception that the left has perpetrated upon you. Bill Clinton did make an announcement at one time in comment and say that if you told a lie long enough and kept repeating it and believed it, and kept repeating it as though you did believe it, it would then become the truth. However, there is also the psychoses of the prisoner who has been kept in closed quarters long enough that he then becomes aware of his surroundings and accepts his daily tortures as normal. I do believe this is what is happening to the American society today. You've been pounded upon by taxes and fuel increases, costs of living, lower wages, layoffs, and all this unemployment and home foreclosures. However, we are going to tell you another story where we can have some perspective on this. Perspective in the powers of observation. Here in Great Britain, back in the 1930s, late 1930s, when Great Britain was going to be actually proposed into warfare with Nazi Germany. They tried their best to avoid war. War was coming, and it was incumbent upon them to do something about this because Europe was at the knife's edge of Adolf Hitler. Neville Chamberlain returned from failed document he had in his hand, a peace agreement signed by Adolf Hitler, which assured Great Britain of peace and non-aggression, but yet it could not prevent Hitler's rise to power, overwhelming masses as Hitler addressed his party in Nuremberg. It could not prevent the firebombing of London. It could not prevent the depravity that ended in the war and discovered at Auschwitz. During the firebombing of London, the Blitz, as we all had received word, Edward R. Murrow, your correspondent from, I believe, the Columbia Broadcasting System, stayed within the bounds of London. While the bombs fell about him, he courageously, honestly, integrity about him, reporting everything that occurred around him. And yet today, you have this man.
I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often, and that is an objective assessment.